Alright, hey guys, we're live here at the production facility for the Redshift by Alta Motors, just south of San Francisco, California, with the CTO, Derek Dorrensteyn. Derek, just kind of give us a one by one on what's going on here, how long you guys have been at this facility and what happens.
Yeah, we built out this facility about a year and a half ago, and we've got all of our business and product development and manufacturing activities under one roof. So we've got engineering team of about 25 folks that are doing, continued improvement on Redshift, developing new product lines, refining technology. Then we've got a manufacturing team that's building motorcycles, building batteries, building all the electronics. We've got a team that's continuing to test the product. We've got our sales team, marketing team, the business and administration side. So big staff. I think we're up to about 55 people today.
Okay, I took a tour of the facility just a little bit ago, and it's a video that's going to come out later. But interesting thing was this started as a machine shop for you, and then you kind of decided, how did you get to this point where now you're making 2 lines of motorcycles?
Well, yeah. So I was I've been in the motorcycle world in one way or another for really my whole life. My grandparents on both sides were motorcycle racers, and I got into CNC machining, precision machining, custom manufacturing world for about 20 years. There were some motorcycle projects within there, but it was a lot of other stuff mostly. But it allowed me to really become expert at product development, engineering, and precision manufacturing. And from that, there was always a desire to have, to develop really wonderful products. And as the technology developed around EVs and especially around lithium-ion batteries, at one point there in the late 2000s, it seemed possible to build an electric motorcycle, and that at some time in the future electric motorcycles would be on the horizon. And one of my good friends and fellow co-founder here at Alta is Jeff Sand, and Jeff and I, were riding buddies and done a lot of business and work together. We had been coming back from a ride day. I hopped up a KTM and made it peaky and cammy and frankly not as fun to ride. And we were talking about that experience and how kind of undoing it would really suck, and I was kind of stuck with this new bike that wasn't quite as fun to ride. And and then we got on the subject of electric, and the Tesla blog was going about then, and I was reading some of the things that Martin Eberhard was writing on the Tesla blog, and I decided that, what if electric? And we started talking through what a motorcycle would be like in electric and what that possibly delivers to the rider and the end user, right? And we determined that not only could you undo the things that I had done on my KTM, like Control Z it, right, because it's software on electric, that the electric potentially would be a better motorcycle. It would offer more control to the rider and be more of what is fun about riding, and that's like navigating, taking corners faster, right? The riding parts and not the management of the motor parts, which is shifting and chasing a torque curve. And that idea turned into a nights and weekend project for Jeff and I, and then we raised a little bit of money from some angel investors, some Tesla folks, and some other people, and we started thinking about, this is going to be a business and not just a fun project. And this is really that transition you're talking about. How do I get from a machine shop to be involved in this? And we attracted the third co-founder, Mark Finnickstein, to run the business side, and then we started prototyping, and having the machine shop was invaluable at that point, right? We were designing and building things on a really quick iterative cycle and advancing the state of the art, and got to a first prototype, and the results were really great. We didn't hit everything we wanted to, but the results were great and really exciting. That allowed us to raise some additional investment to make really a bigger team and design a more refined version of that first prototype. And from there we find ourselves here, where we are in production. The team has grown to, as I said, 55 people, and we're producing what we feel is a really incredible product.
So really in the last 5 years, we've seen electric automobiles take off. And like you said, the Tesla blogs in the early days were a big part of this. Is it just because the technology now is so, I wouldn't say easier, but more accessible and more understood by more people?
Well, I think that the growth of the market is really driven by the creation of products that excite people and get them to buy them, right? And so there are more electric vehicles out there, but there are, more importantly, more people are buying electric vehicles, right? And so we're seeing the success of the Tesla Model S and Model X, the excitement around the Model 3, and this is an indication that we're really at the beginning of a steep curve in the car business. The offerings in the motorcycle business have been kind of hit and miss, and certainly not all of the offerings have excited the performance motorcycle enthusiasts and the racers of the world, right? And so I come from that background. The company really is focused on building the very best performance motorcycles that we can, and we picked this lights class motocrosser as our first foray.
So the big thing that you and I have discussed a little bit earlier too, though, was two things. It's a high performance bike that you can go race on. It's not built for like kind of putting around. Like it was a race design motorcycle. And the other thing was it's here for the long haul. It's not a one and done bike.
Right. So Alta will continue to introduce more products as time goes on. We have the Supermoto version of this bike coming out in a few months. It will start shipping to dealers. It'll be in production then. And then there's another model that's not yet been announced that will be coming out soon. And then we've also just shown some teaser images of the ST, the more urban hipster street tracker concept that's got quite a bit of attention over the last week or so.
We've seen a couple questions come through the comments, and one of the more interesting ones I saw was, are you guys making these for kids? Like, will there be a 65, 85 model down the line?
Certainly we're really interested in the opportunities around the smaller bikes for kids. We think that all of the advantages that you get on the big bike translate down into those smaller bikes, and we're certainly looking into it.
Okay. One thing, I've ridden the bike a little bit. Don Maeda, our editor-in-chief, has ridden it as well.
Yeah.
This is a real bike. It's not a toy or anything like that. Despite it being electric, you can still do whatever you want on it. You can go blast through puddles. You can get it wet. I mean, this isn't like, yeah, the conditions have to be perfect. You can go run it and bring it back, put it in the trailer, and then take it back again whenever you're ready.
Yeah, the electric delivers a slightly different product into the market, and the features and benefits are slightly different than what you're used to in your gas bike. We picked a market segment, and this is motocross and performance off-road riding that for the most part doesn't have a really huge range requirement, right? And because of that, electric is working really well. We're not really ready to build touring motorcycles in electric. The technology is not matched with that, and so there isn't the opportunity to race the Baja 1000 on an electric today, but you can do a lot of the activities that we're used to doing, racing motocross, going out and doing trail rides and quick off-road adventures on the bike, and it's just absolutely stunning and amazing in those applications. Excuse me. The wonderful things the bike's giving you, though, is that you don't have a lot of maintenance requirements, right? You're still changing chains and tires, but you're not doing a lot more than that. The bike has no air filter to clean. The oil change interval is 1,000 hours, which is, sort of means you don't have to change the oil. And there's really not much else that happens. Some of the bikes in our test fleet have, 200, 250 hours on them, and all we've done is replace chains and rear tires. And that's a kind of a different reality for a lot of riders. It means that you have more time to ride and less sort of overhead to riding. There's just less maintenance, and you certainly don't have 50-hour engine rebuilds or valve adjustments or piston replacements that like you do on the gas bike. And we think that a lot of people are going to really feel that's a great new thing.
So then the other thing that I think is most important, how is the professional community taking this in? Josh Hill raced at the Straight Rhythm. It's probably one of the biggest stories of that whole event. And then after that, how is it going for you guys? I know that there's some talk of racing this thing next week in Salem, Oregon in a flat track race.
Yeah.
What's the future of racing look like for you guys as well?
We are so excited about all the opportunities to race the Alta Redshift, and we are constantly barraged by people that are getting hold of us and want to race it, and that includes high caliber riders all the way down to local folks who just want to go race it in their local event. And the homologation of the Redshift into various racing classes is a work in progress. So right now we are homologated into AMA National Championship Endurocross, AMA National Championship Supermoto, and the Supermoto, it's worth noting, as a lights class bike. We're allowed to race in AMA Amateur Flat Track in the 450 class. And we've got a lot of nods from promoters in local and regional series that no problem, you're allowed to run, no problem. Where we're finding the conversation is going a little slower is AMA National Motocross and Supercross and Arena Cross. And we really want to go race Supercross and Arena Cross. In fact, we can't wait. We think we will be competitive in those things, and we really can't wait to get out there. And the conversation continues with both the AMA and the promoters of those series.
Cool. For you guys, how has sales have gone? I know it was a pretty small circle of people to buy from at first, but as production increases, it seems like the dealership network has increased a lot as well.
Yeah, the response from the market has been stunning. We've gotten hundreds of deposits to date. I think we've got our 8th dealer that has come online this week. We expect to hit 50 dealers mid-year, and we're planning on making several thousand motorcycles this year, and feel that the demand is easily there to do that.
Right, the two biggest questions that keep coming through: what is the MSRP, so price,
yep.
And then what's the average runtime? Like, we know that a pro guy is going to drain a battery a little bit quicker than your average local guy. So
that's right. MSRP on the motocrosser is $14,995, and the range is highly variable. It really depends what you're doing. Our spec that we as engineers hit is 30 minutes on the motocross track plus 2 laps, right? That was our target. You can drain it faster than that. In certain scenarios, flat track's very demanding on energy consumption. And then, the flip side is, we have tons of examples of going way farther than that. We've had some trail rides that are consistently 2.5, 3 hours of riding. The record today is 5.5 hours of being out on trails, going really slow, but on really slow technical trails. And range is dependent on, really the amount of power you're using, which is related to how fast you're accelerating and what your top speed is. So I guess it just depends.
Okay. This may be a question for the other guys, but we have 2 over there that are going to be at the One Show in Portland later this week.
Yeah.
So we kind of see and hear just how quiet they really are. Turn one on, you can just kind of give it a little gas and see.
Yeah, no problem. We can do that. They're not silent. We have internal gear reduction, and the electric motor is not silent. We spin the motor to pretty high RPM, 14,000 RPM. It's a way to make a more power dense package. Our motor, interestingly enough, is about 14 pounds for 40 peak horsepower, right? So it's a lot different than the gas bike metrics, which are up there at 40 pounds or so.
That's pretty much all I have. We can take a walk over and see one real quick.
Sounds good.
You have two. This is the street tracker that you guys have just come out with too, which has gotten a lot of buzz online the last week too, right?
That's right. This is a proof of concept. We're trying to see what the market thinks of this idea. It's a much lower saddle height, sort of urban bike, super fun to ride. Response has been stunning. It's been republished, dozens of times to date. The comments are in the thousands. Looks like the market thinks that this is as cool as we do.
Hey, one big thing that everybody's asking too, especially for people overseas, are there going to be importers over there? Australia, the UK, Europe?
Yeah, we're gonna hit Europe mid-year this year, and the pull from Europe is incredibly strong. The Europeans are really excited about this. They've got a lot more pressure on them to around noise and emissions than we do here, and we think that you'll see Redshift and competition in Europe this year, and then as far as other markets like Australia and even into Asia, it's likely that won't be until 2018.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm going to give it a look around. Find one we can turn on.
Yeah.
So,
we could turn this one on. See if we can get the wheel off the ground with the triangle. We can. So let's try that.
you're good.
I'm not sure what. Oh, this one we got this thing goes on. Let's see.
So a couple buttons.
Yeah, there's a couple buttons, and actually a regular starter button, like you'd see on your gas bike. We've got a display that's got this LED halo that's now pulsing, and that's giving the rider the message that bike is live, throttle is live. Since you don't have the sound of a motor running, it's a bit of a safety concern that someone might apply the throttle when they don't think the bike is actually on. It's on. I'm going to spin up the wheel right now. Right, it's not so loud, so we can get it going a little faster. We've got a lot of magic that goes into the interactions that happen after you open that throttle and the rear wheel reacts. We've literally got hundreds of hours of development into refining the response of the bike to throttle, making sure the rider is really connected to what's happening in his throttle hand, or she is really connected to what's happening at her throttle hand versus what's happening at the rear wheel. So we've got a built-in open-loop traction control system that is giving you maximum hookup, and that's also a bit changeable. A really kind of innovative new feature on the Redshift is that we have changeable throttle maps. And so a rider can basically change the bike setup for different conditions. We have maps that are better for muddy or low traction conditions, maps that are better for motocross, trail riding. Makes a huge impact on your relationship to the bike and traction.
Because I'm going to get it wrong, but the certification for it to be waterproof, so you can submerge this thing, what was it, 50 feet, 30 minutes and it's fine?
50 feet's a stretch. We conform to IP67, which is 30 inches for 30 minutes below water. And we've tested all the components to that. I actually don't recommend you do that with your bike, but what it means is that your bike, you can wash your bike, you can do stream crossings, you can fall over in a stream, and nothing really should go wrong with it, and it should keep working. It's a little different than the gas bike. It's a little more, resistant to water screwing it up than the gas bike is.
Well, that's all we need from here. Thank you very much for having us today.
Yep.
If you need more information, altamotors.co.
That's it.
Perfect. Thanks, man.
Thank you.